So, you've been hearing about AI for months now, maybe years. ChatGPT this, Claude that, and you keep meaning to try it, but you haven't actually sat down and done it. Today, that changes. In the next 8 minutes, I'm going to walk you through everything. Creating an account, navigating the interface, and writing your first prompt that actually does something useful for your physio practice. No jargon, no technical setup, just a browser and 5 minutes. Step 1, go to claude.ai. That's it, claude.ai, and you'll land on the login screen. So you can sign up with your Gmail, and that's probably the easiest way. So I'm going to do that now. Alrighty, so I've landed on the screen here. So let's create your account. So I'm just going to agree to the terms, and I'm going to not subscribe for some occasional promotional emails. I'm going to put my birthday in and then verify my phone number. So I've come to this screen here. So I'm just going to say it's for personal use. And you'll get to the screen here where it'll give you a number of options for some plans that you can take out. Everything that we will do today, you can use the free version. So I'm just going to continue with that. Now it's going to tell me all about Claude Desktop. This is something that I'd definitely recommend doing a little bit later on. You don't really need to use Claude Desktop for what we're going to achieve today. So I'm just going to skip that. And now it's going to give me a few more things so they don't use any ads. Built to help, not harm. And then, so help Claude improve. You can turn that off if you don't want Claude to train their models on your data. So in the context that we're using medical information, I would opt to turn that off. I'm going to put my name. You can select whatever option applies to you. So that took about 45 seconds, and now I'm completely set up with Claude for free. I did put a credit card in, there's no 7-day trial, and I can start using it for free right now. So this is Claude. Let's just start taking a quick look around the interface so you know what you're working with. So down here is the input box. This is where you start typing to Claude. It's pretty simple. You type a message, hit enter, and then Claude responds. And that's the core of it. Over here, you can see the chat history. Every conversation that you have with Claude will be saved here. So if you've already spoken to Claude about something that you would like to revisit, then you can simply find it on the left side panel here. Then over here is the model selector. On the free tier, you'll see Sonnet. Sonnet is Claude's standard model, and it's excellent. It'll work well for everything that we're about to do today. If you upgrade to Pro, you'll get access to more models down here, like Opus. But Sonnet is more than capable for physiotherapy tasks. So don't worry about that for now. So that's it. That's the whole interface. There's no settings to configure. There's no plugins to install. You just type. Now let's actually use it. So I'm going to start a new chat. Now here's what most people do wrong when they use Claude. They'll type in something simple like, what's the weather? Or tell me a joke. And then they'll think, oh, that was fun. And then close the tab. Instead, I want you to do something actually useful. Something that you would use in your practice. Something that takes you real time every single week. So I'm going to write a GP referral letter. Every physio writes these. You've got a patient who needs to go back to their GP for imaging or a medication review, and you need to send a professional letter. This can take 10, maybe 15 minutes if you're doing it properly. Let's see what Claude does with it. So I've just added this prompt in. So I'm a physiotherapist in Australia. I need to write a referral letter to a GP, patient, 58-year-old male, retired tradesman, presenting with persistent right shoulder pain for 6 weeks, limited active flex on to 120 degrees, painful arc between 60 to 120 degrees, positive NIRS and Hawken-Kennedy tests. I've been treating conservatively with manual therapy and progressive loading for 4 weeks, but symptoms still plateaued. I'd like a GP to consider imaging to rule out the rotator cuff tear and review pain management options. Use Australian English spelling. Please write a professional referral letter. Let's see what Claude does. You can see Claude working pretty hard in the background here. So you can see on the right-hand side, Claude has created a professional looking referral letter. You can see we need to probably add some information in here, like our practice name, our contact details. We'll need to add the GP name as well. It's provided some placeholders for us. But as you can see with the information that we've provided originally, it's really taken that information and written a very professional letter. So dear doctor, I'm writing to refer the above named patient, 58-year-old retired male tradesman, for your review and management. He's been under my care, persistent right shoulder pain. I would appreciate your assistance regarding further investigation and pain management. And you can see here it's got the presenting complaint, goes into the clinical findings, touches on the treatment to date, the reason for the referral, and then it obviously ends off with a sign off at the bottom here. So that took about maybe 15, 20 seconds to generate. I think that there are some improvements that we could make. And this is the key thing about Claude. If there is something there that you think could be improved, you don't start over from scratch. You can just iterate with Claude. You can just ask it to improve it. If you describe to Claude what you're not happy with or what you think needs work, then Claude will very easily start from this basis point and then continue and improve based on the instructions that you give it. I've added a prompt here for Claude to add a sentence about how his shoulder limitations is affecting his daily activities. He can't reach overhead to get things from shelves and is struggling to drive comfortably. I've asked it to make the tone slightly less formal, more like one clinician writing to another. So Claude is going right back to work. It's acknowledged the feedback that we've provided, and it is going to update the document to make the tone slightly more loose. Now it's regenerating the document, and then it's provided a little message here to let us know what has changed. So it's improved the opening, swapped out the stiff, I'm writing to refer, to replace a generic line with something a bit more natural, and it's made a bunch of other improvements here as well. So you can see we can go back and forth with Claude until we're happy with it and until it's perfect. So this is something that I would definitely recommend doing: reading, reviewing, and then iterating. It's taking the original letter that we generated earlier, and it's provided some very subtle improvements. This is what we call iterative prompting. Claude has a starting point, and instead of going back to the drawing board, we're taking that starting point and we're making small tweaks to refine it and improve it. Think of Claude like a really fast admin assistant. It might not get it perfect every single time, but at least we can tell them what isn't perfect, and it will make changes as per our instructions. You wouldn't expect them to get it perfect the first time, but they get pretty close, so you can always tweak it. So that was 2 messages, probably about 30 to 40 seconds of your time, and you have a professional referral letter that you can download and send to your GP. Now, one thing to understand is that this conversation is saved, so you can always come back to it later, tomorrow, next week, but each conversation is its own thread. So Claude doesn't automatically remember things from one conversation to the next. So if you start a new conversation and ask Claude to create a new referral letter, it's not going to remember that you're a physiotherapist in Australia. You'll need to tell it again. Oh, it's annoying, right? Having to repeat yourself every single time. But there is a fix for that. It's called Projects. Save your context once, and Claude will always remember it. Who you are, what clinic you work in, your preferred writing style, and Claude remembers it every single time you open up that project. But that's for a later video. I'll walk you through step by step how to set this up for your physio practice. But for now, on the free tier, here's a quick workaround. When you start a new conversation with Claude, just paste this at the top of the message. I'm a physiotherapist in a private practice in Australia. My patients are primarily MSK. I use Clinico for practice management. Please use Australian English in all responses. That's it. Couple of lines, takes about 4 seconds to paste in, and now every response will be tailored to your practice, your patients, and your compliance requirements. Now, before you start using this for everything, there's one thing that we need to talk about: patient data. That's the number one question that I hear from physios. Is it safe to put patient information into Claude? And here's the short answer: be careful and use common sense. On the free tier, Anthropic, who's the company behind Claude, may use your conversations to improve their models. That means that you should not paste patient identifiable information into the free version. No full names, no date of births, no Medicare numbers, nothing that could identify the specific person. But what you can do is use de-identified information. Instead of using John Smith and date of birth 15th of the 6th, 1968, you can write 58-year-old male, retired tradesman. That's what I did in the referral letter example. The clinical data is all there, but you can't identify the patient. If you upgrade to the Pro plan later, then Anthropic will not use any of your data to train their models. So you get more flexibility, but even then, I still wouldn't recommend pasting in patient data, unless you have a specific reason to do so. Otherwise, it's too risky. A good rule of thumb is, if you wouldn't write it on a whiteboard in a clinic waiting room, then I wouldn't write it into an AI tool. So let's recap what we've done in the last few minutes. You've created a Claude account, you've navigated the interface, you've written your first prompt, which is a GP referral letter that would have normally taken about 15 minutes, and you've done so in about 15 seconds. You've refined it with a follow-up message, and you understand the basics of patient data safety. That's a solid foundation. Here's what I'd suggest to do next. Before you close the tab, try one more thing. Pick something that you did today that was time-consuming. A patient email, a treatment summary for an insurer, an exercise program. It doesn't matter what it is. Open up a new chat, give Claude the context, and see what happens. You'll be surprised. And when you're ready to level up, take a look at my next video about Claude Projects. That's where you can save all of your practice's context so that Claude knows exactly what you're trying to do as soon as you open it up. There'll be no more repeating yourself. I'll put the link down below. Also, I'll put a free SOAP notes prompt in the description below. It's a structured prompt that gives you APRA-compliant SOAP notes from rough session notes. It takes about 30 seconds to grab. Just pop in your email, and then you'll be able to download it and pop it straight into Claude. If you've watched the SOAP notes video, you've already seen it in action. But if not, You'll find a link down below. That's it. You're all set up. Go ahead and use it. And I'll see you in the next one.